Okay, at this time, we'll call the June Planning and Zoning meeting to order. The meeting properly announced.
Yes, it was.
Okay, please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, let the record show all committee members are present. Need a motion to approve the agenda? John and Jody, any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. Need a motion to approve the minutes from May 3rd? Jay and John, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Minutes are approved. Public participation, no one is signed up. Correspondence, any? Okay, project status report.
It's up there if anybody has any questions on it.
Everybody have a chance to look at it? Any questions?
The well, top two are the ones we're working on, obviously the one is on hold. Little smaller. On hold, then the top one, we are working on essentially trying to reduce the number of calls to our office. Trying to reduce the number of calls to our office and just make it easier for like contractors to schedule inspections. We are having to change our permitting software, so it's not on hold per se, but the new program will take care of it, and we're looking at the end of this year for implementing that.
Okay, any questions on that? Surveyors report. Everybody have a chance to look at it? The surveyor online? No. Any questions on it? Ask Dusty later. Register of Deeds monthly report. Everybody have a chance to look at the Register of Deeds report? Any questions? Okay, land information. Any questions on that? Quiet bunch. Okay, discuss and act on vehicle purchases.
Kyle should be online.
I'm on, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
Yep, so we got a quote here from AF Motors. I was able to reach out to Napleton yesterday and I was able to get a quote from them. The AF Motors quote is slightly higher. However, there are two add-ons on there. There is undercoating and the fabric protection, which is the cost of $999. If Napleton's costs come in about the same as AF Motors, it would put them over $27,000, which would then be the higher bid. So our recommendation is to go with AF Motors, and this would be for the purchase of 2 Chevy Equinoxes, and this is for the building inspectors. The current vehicles are 2019 Equinoxes with approximately 90,000 miles on them.
let's get a motion on the floor before we start discussing. John? Make a motion to approve the purchase. We have a second? Bruce? Okay, motion and a second, open for discussion. John?
Kyle, maybe I read this wrong. Are we not trading in the old vehicles? I didn't see a trade in.
Correct. We're not trading the old vehicles in. We plan to auction them at Wisconsin Surplus.
Have we researched what we can get as a trade in?
I did not ask for that as part of the quote. No. Typically, we end up getting more by auctioning them than we would for a trade-in.
I think it's worth asking the question to see what trade-in value is. I've never seen that good of a deal at an auction where people overpay. Could be wrong. Can we do that? Is that still part of it? Rocky? Or Kyle?
We have a time frame.
Yep, Mr. Chair, I could reach out to AF Motors and ask them what the trade-in value of our current Equinoxes would be. Yeah, typically what we've seen in the past on Wisconsin surplus, people end up paying top dollar for vehicles for some reason. Even sheriff's vehicles, I think I've seen in the past, we had one with a blown engine that went for almost $6,000. So it just kind of depends.
Randy,
So are you saying this has basically been county policy to do this through the surplus auction?
Mr. Chair.
yes,
Yep, that's correct. We typically auction off the vehicles through Wisconsin surplus. That's kind of been our standard procedure in the past.
Jody,
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask Kyle, what is the maintenance record like on these two vehicles? Are there any inherent problems that we're seeing?
Mr. Chair.
yes,
I don't believe there's been any issues. They do maintenance regularly on the vehicles, oil changes, new tires and all of that. One vehicle recently was involved in a minor incident. Just had a little scratch on it from a gate closing on it when they were leaving a homeowner's residence. They plan to get that fixed before we auction it.
Thank you.
any further discussion? Bolio,
Mr. Chair. Kyle, is there a schedule, a replacement schedule for vehicles? For these vehicles? 5 years, 6 years, or what are you going by?
Mr. Chair.
yes,
As part of the 2023 budget, we had intended to replace vehicles every 2 years because then it's just before they're out of warranty, and then the resale value when we auction them off is higher. Currently, these vehicles, they're soon to be 5 model years old.
Thank you.
John,
Sorry, just briefly looking online. Values, this is wholesale or retail values, so obviously your trade-in is less than this, but they're online for $17,000 to $20,000. Do you think we can get that much at auction?
Mr. Chair.
yes,
Yep, we should be able to get that roughly that amount in auction. It's never really a guarantee with auction, but a lot of times people that are bidding on these vehicles, they're bidding because they're under the assumption that they're government-owned fleet vehicles and they've been well maintained throughout their life.
any further discussion? Jody,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kyle, how many, I'm assuming by next meeting, you would be able to get both trade-in responses from the two outfits that have bid for these or given us quotes? Is that true?
Mr. Chair.
yes,
Yep, I can look into that and reach out to the vendors and find out what the trade-in value would be for our current units.
Randy,
But what are we accomplishing by that? Because we're not gonna know what we get at auction. I mean, what are we accomplishing by waiting?
I don't know if we'd be waiting. I mean, then we might be able to proceed much faster if we think the trade-in value is fair. And wouldn't that be less legwork? I mean, to take it to auction versus just to take it to a dealership?
Mr. Chair.
yes,
Yeah, Wisconsin surplus, they actually handle pretty much all the aspects of the auction. We just give them the information. We take a few pictures of the vehicles and they handle dealing with the highest bidder on the auction. So it's really low effort on our part.
Bruce,
Kyle, did you say this is the normal procedure to go through the auction with other department vehicles?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yep, yeah, typically we do auction off vehicles. We haven't ever done a trade in the past that I can recall. It's typically been auctioned off and we've, for example, like the sheriff's department vehicles, they tend to use those for about 5 years. And those auction off, and they could be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 typically. And that's after 5 years of sheriff's department use, 100,000 miles and a lot of idling hours.
John?
I apologize. Kyle, we recently just purchased new vehicles for Yep, thank you, Health and Energy Services. What did we get for those at auction? Do you know?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think I heard the reference to HHS vehicles. We have not actually finalized the HHS vehicles. We approved a purchase, I think, just before a county board meeting recently, and those vehicles then became unavailable. So we were not able to acquire new vehicles at this time.
So to answer the other question, what do we gain if we're gonna get 5 to 10,000 in auction and we can get 12 to 14 as a trade-in? We gain a few $1,000s.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yep, the $5,000 to $10,000 auction for the sheriff's department, that was on those specific vehicles, and they typically don't go for as much. These are lightly used vehicles. They have high miles, but they have low engine idle hours. And they're a 2019 model year. So sheriff's department's typically getting rid of about 2017 model year vehicles right now. So they use their vehicles a lot longer than planning and zoning does.
Can I amend my motion then?
Huh?
Can I amend my motion?
Amend your motion?
Because we meant a motion to approve it.
Yeah.
So can we just amend it so that they look at the feasibility of a trade-in value? As part of it, as part of the approval process, they can make the final decision based on their best knowledge, but I think that we need to at least have them look at a trade-in value.
I don't think so. You can motion to table it. But amending your motion to wait until we look at you motion to approve the
I'm just,
purchase.
yeah, fair enough.
John, and I didn't mean by what we were gaining in value. I meant, so they tell us we're gonna get $12,000 of trade-in. We're still not gonna know what we're gonna get from the stock. So that's what I.
Okay, motion and second to approve the purchase, roll call vote?
Shapey,
No.
Churko,
Yeah.
Carvillo, Dozel,
No,
Thiessen,
Yes.
Knockreiner,
Yes.
Gilner,
Yes. 4 yeses, purchase the vehicles. Public hearings is now open.
The first application is for Harley Ray Miller and Ruth Miller. This is a rezone request for parcel 15.06 acres from A3 Secondary Agricultural District to B1 Rural Business District, 2 ± 2 acres, and A115 Exclusive Ag District ± 13 acres. On property located in the southwest quarter, northwest quarter, northwest quarter, northwest quarter, being lot 1 of CSM 5385, section 29, town 16 north, range 6 east, parcel 10-770-15, town of Easton. The address is 2848 Highway 13. I have not received the town tabled the application. So at this time, I would request that the committee table the application until we hear from the town.
Okay, I'd entertain that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Randy, motion to table. Tim, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote?
Churko, Carvillo, Dozel,
yes,
Thiessen,
Yes.
Knockreiner,
Yes.
Gilner,
Yes.
Shapey.
Yes.
Table till next month or till our town hears it. Okay, next one, Dusty.
The next application is for Storage Kings LLC. This is a conditional use request under section 309-20C of the Adams County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance to operate monster truck rides on property located in part of northwest quarter, southeast quarter, section 34, town 14 north, range 6 east, parcel 8-866, town of Del Prairie. The address is 4158 Highway 13. In the packet, it does have or excuse me, in the application packet, there is quite a bit of information. I did receive correspondence from the city of Wisconsin Dells. The city of Wisconsin Dells received notice of the pending conditional use permit submitted by Storage Kings LLC in the town of Del Prairie for the purpose of operating a monster truck ride amusement. The city of Wisconsin Dells is not in favor of granting the request for a conditional use permit. While the city recognizes the value of new amusements in the community, the parcels located a quarter mile to the east. Excuse me. The parcels located a quarter mile to the east, Prairie Oak subdivision, have been identified, platted, and zoned as residential 2 by the city. The city is currently working with a developer to improve this subdivision to include water, sewer, and roadways in an effort to provide much needed single-family housing. The city believes this to be the best use of the parcels, and an extremely noisy attraction could negatively affect the development of these parcels. Please consider our request for denial and the long-term interests of the city and the community as a whole. If you have questions or comments about the city's position, please contact the city administrator. I did also receive correspondence from the town of Del Prairie at their May 9th meeting. The town objected to the request. Surrounding businesses not very dust tolerant, too small of an area, and there are neighbors too close. The highway commissioner submitted a letter. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the Storage Kings LLC conditional use request. Highway department does not control access to Highway 13. There was an email thread. They didn't really say one way or the other. There were some questions. It was with the state DOT about who owns the nearby access. And then I did also receive one phone call regarding this from Dan Morse. He is against it. Dust, noise, more traffic congestion. It joins fence of their facility, and they rent out the storage for boats. That is all the correspondence I had on that.
Okay, is there a representative here for Storage Kings?
I guess I would be.
Okay,
Mike Fonder with Monster Truck Entertainment.
would you have anything else to add?
I guess the thing I would add is, when people hear the word monster truck.
Microphone, could you move up to a desk with a microphone?
Sorry. Check. All right, you can hear me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when most people think of a monster truck, they see them on TV and they have big 1,500 horsepower motors in them. Yeah, they're loud, they're dusty when they're at shows. This is, like we said, you saw the pictures, it's a 24-foot school bus. It has a 454 truck motor in it, stock, and it has a muffler on it, so it's very quiet. When I was at the Del Prairie meeting, that was the two concerns that were brought up would be dust and noise. So I told them it had a muffler on, so I don't think there would be any noise because it isn't loud. It's no louder than a truck. The dust part of it, we said we would water if it meant, and that was the two concerns that I heard at that meeting that I thought I would need to be here and talk about. I'm 38 years in the industry doing monster trucks. And for 17 years, I had my own monster truck ride business and we traveled all over the United States. We do monster truck rides at monster truck shows, at fairs, festivals, racetracks. So it's something pretty common. I know there was a monster truck ride business for many, many years in downtown Wisconsin Dells. I don't know what kind of problems they had there or nothing because they were downtown. Our companies, we're trying to get our foot in the door in Wisconsin Dells in one of the county areas, buy a piece of property, we tried to buy Tommy Bartlett's water ski showgrounds. So I went back and forth with Tom Deal and that didn't work out. So we're looking at other pieces of property to actually bring an amusement here, another attraction, which would be daily monster truck shows. I'm looking at a piece of property right now out towards the casino and the airport out that way. So it's out of town and not gonna be in town and noisy. But the monster truck rides, we just wanted to get it up and running this year and working. I know Dave Mayer that owns the property there, and the piece of property that they have is big enough. I do monster truck rides in a hockey arena, 100 feet wide by 300 feet long. So that facility there allows me a bigger area to run around in. And also I was gonna clean up that property as well. All the scrub brush trees on the property are gonna be gone, cleaned up. We would operate out of a NASCAR trailer, a merchandise trailer with very few lights. We're not gonna light up the whole place. The monster truck, as you can see, has got headlights on it and everything. So if we were to give rides at nighttime, we wouldn't be lighting up that whole property. Just where we would be set up selling tickets and merchandise.
Okay,
So,
does the committee have any questions for gentlemen? No questions? Okay, this being a conditional use permit, we need a set of conditions before we vote on the overall permit. So, Dusty gave me a list of, ideas. Hours of operation, something like 10 AM to 5 PM. A buffer. 50-foot buffer between the properties. Time of year restriction, like May 1st to October 31st. Suggested maybe a conditional approval for just the 23 season to see how it works and then come back and review. Possibly a fence, that wouldn't be cheap. Maximum noise level, we got no way to measure it. Dust is an issue, but you say you're gonna water it down. Does anybody have any other ideas for conditions? Or do you agree with these conditions?
I do. I agree with you.
Okay,
That was one thing that was brought up at Del Plaine was operating hours, if I would be running late at night or whatever. So,
okay. Does anybody have any conditions they'd like to see added? Jody?
I actually have a question in regards to conditional use permit. Perhaps Dustin could speak on this. If we went with conditions and we approved a conditional use permit, would it be within the ability of this monster truck gentleman, I'm so sorry, I forgot your name, Mike, to decline it? And then where would that leave the property?
Not sure I understand the question.
I think I do. I think I do. I'll attempt. So if he chooses, for example, if you put the hours of operation of 10 to 5 and he decides, that's just not going to work and he wants to operate outside of that, he cannot do this at all. The whole thing would become,
Or he could come back for
he could request it be
change
changed. The conditional use would still be there, but unless you don't comply, or you have to comply with all the conditions that the committee sets. He could choose not to do the rides. I believe the property is already being used for something else. Storage buildings?
yeah, limousine,
Sorry.
it's
yeah.
got limousines in the back part and then the front part is the golf cart repair.
So that would stand because that's not any part of this request. But yes, if conditions are placed, they have to be followed 100%. Is that?
Okay,
Another question then, if they decline the use of the conditional use permit, it's a 2-year permit that's not being used and then it falls
no,
out of use, or I think there's a 2-year limit.
no.
Dustin?
Yeah, give me 1 second here to get to that section. Under the zoning administration ordinance, there is no expiration on excuse me, on a conditional use permit,
Thank you. I don't know what I was looking at then.
Unless it was one of the conditions.
which is,
That was a suggested condition to approve it for this one season, see how it works out, and then come back next season to approve it forever. That, just an idea, whether you want to vote on that or not, I don't know. Bruce,
I'm just a little confused. Did the city of Wisconsin Dells respond to this because they're adjacent subdivision?
yes,
Or is this actually in the city of the
no,
Dells?
this is in Del Prairie. The Wisconsin Dells city limit is on the other side of 9th Avenue, directly east of this.
Okay.
and they actually own,
They own the ball fields right next to it too. That's in the city.
well, and the reason the city got the notice specifically was for, I believe, a road right away that in that subdivision they were talking about. That's owned by the city, so they were considered a property owner in the neighborhood.
Tim,
So Mike, how does this parking situation gonna affect the crowds that are at the ball stadium and soccer stadium and whatever event they're holding there? How's that gonna affect? the
your
traffic in
property is
there?
completely separate from the ball
Yeah,
field.
we're separate, so our parking's gonna be totally separate from them. The whole blacktop parking lot in the back part is gonna be for my use. I can probably park up to 20-30 cars, but
It's a city
I
limit,
Okay.
ball fields and parking city limits and him and Del Prairie.
Okay.
So do we want to go with these conditions that I labeled or listed? If so, I need a motion.
Mr. Chair, could you repeat the ones that you mentioned, please?
Hours of operation, 10 AM to 5 PM. A buffer from the boundary lines of 50 foot. Time of year restriction, May 1st to October 31st. Conditional use approval for just the 23 season. And then if you want to keep operating next year, come back and we'll make it permanent. And keep the track watered prior to rides for the dust issue.
I wrote down fencing too.
Well, we said possibly a fence, but I don't know where you'd put it and what it would do. And the noise level, well, there's no way to measure that, so. Yes,
I have a question for Mike. When you said running around, what kind of speeds are we talking about?
slow idling speeds. These monster truck ride trucks are inspected also by the amusement industry. And so we have to follow their guidelines. Same with my insurance. There's seat belts for all the passengers and we don't travel typically over, and I'm gonna be honest, 3 to 5 miles an hour. It's more of a putt around and drive over a couple little hills and it gives them that realistic, they get to bounce around and that's about all you do with them.
we're just voting on conditions now.
Yeah, I'm just
If somebody
curious.
would make a motion.
Is there a handicap accessibility to these vehicles?
No, there's not.
Okay, thank you.
I need a motion to accept the conditions. Randy, motion, we have a second? This is just for conditions, not the overall. Jay, second? Okay, roll call vote?
Carvilio? Dozel?
This is just the conditions, not the overall cup.
I'll say yes to the conditions.
Thiessen?
Yeah.
Knockreiner?
Yes.
Gilner?
Yes.
Shapey?
Yes, and it's too late to add one, isn't it?
At this point, yes.
All right,
Chirko?
Okay, conditions passes. Now I need a motion to approve the conditional use permit. Dusty,
Yeah, I'm not making a motion.
I know.
It would still be acceptable that if if Supervisor Shapey would like to make another motion for another condition.
I would just like to see that there's no alcoholic beverages added to the list.
There won't be no alcohol sales. We're a family operation.
they
It's
wouldn't be
mom and
allowed on
dad
the
and
property anyway.
kids.
I don't
You
think.
never know. So that was the only other condition I'd like to put on it.
Are you making that motion?
Yes, sir.
We have a motion to add no alcohol. Do we have a second? And we have a second. Motion and second to add a condition for no alcohol. Any further discussion on that? Roll call vote?
Dozel,
Yes.
Thiessen.
Yes.
Knockreiner,
Yes.
Gilner,
Yes.
Shapey,
Yes.
Chirko. Carvilio,
Okay, that condition is added to the list. Now, do we have a motion to approve the conditional use permit? We have a motion to approve the conditional use permit. We have a motion to approve the conditional use permit. I guess the permit fails on lack of a motion. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you for your time.
That's the end of the public hearing portion of the meeting. Financial report. Everybody have a chance to look at it? Any questions?
Feel like a broken record, but we're doing well again. I don't know what the end of this year is gonna bring with, I think the last I heard was a 30-year interest rate was about 6.5 or right close to that. 15 years, 6.25. So I gotta believe at some point that's gonna put a damper on the construction industry, but it has not yet. You can see our May numbers. It was a busy May. I think we were, I guess that's in the next part. On to the permit side of it.
Is this the permit report?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have to email out the newly requested format. We did get that finalized. I'll get that to you. But yeah, we ended up issuing about 64 almost 50 sanitary permits, which is behind last year, but overall, our total numbers are ahead. Revenue wise, we are ahead, so we're still going gangbusters. We'll see what the end of the year brings, so.
Okay, planning and zoning division updates.
I mentioned it earlier about, we are changing our database. It's tied to the treasurer's program that they keep track of, like property taxes and all that. We're going to be losing support for the database we currently use. It's going to be, it should be a lot more user friendly, and also like citizen or residents and citizens and other constituents will be able to access a lot more of the information easier. It should also be very handy for the contractors. We're going to start moving towards paperless. So a lot of the permits can be submitted online, which will be a huge plus in our office. And just being able to track a number of different things that we do now, but much more efficiently. I would say that's probably the biggest the biggest update I have, and we're not looking at that until, like I said, going live. I'm shooting for January 1st. There's quite a bit of work that has to go into it, and just timing wise, now is not the time for me to make that happen. So we'll be starting the process about September, October. And I believe the contract was signed about a month ago.
Okay. Yes,
Dustin, may you give us a number on and details of citations?
Oh,
in the
yep.
Last month?
Thank
Thank you.
you. There were none.
Can I ask a question? Because I am asked this question. How do you tell a camper from a hunting shack if it's a camper from the outside?
There's a definition of what a camping unit is. And then it's also how it was manufactured. If it was manufactured as a camping unit, it's a camping unit.
camping unit has to be licensed for the road, right?
By ordinance, it has to be, and a camping unit can be licensed. Typically hunting shacks are not on wheels. If they are on wheels, then it becomes a tiny home, and there's another section of the ordinance that regulates that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next meeting date. Randy,
I'd like to make a motion to have our next meeting, July 5th at 5 PM.
motion to change the time to 5 PM, same date, July 5th. We have a second? Jay? Any discussion?
Yes. Randy, could you tell us why for the 5 o'clock change?
I think it's gonna be better for the support staff. They get done work here at 4:30. They can then just either do some paperwork in their office and roll into our meeting. I just think it's better all around for people. If you're before supper. you get
Especially the
done
ones of
by
us that live 30 miles away.
Typically 6 o'clock. I just as soon go back to 3:30, but I'm willing to live with 5.
Okay, any further discussion?
Thank you.
Yeah, works better for me at 6.
Well, that's your opinion. Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of going to 5 PM? Say aye. All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
3 nays? Okay, motion passes. 5 o'clock on the 5th. Meeting's adjourned. Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. No ordinance is signed. Meeting's adjourned.